Hi, this is Ofori, the digital reader. This month I bought a bunch of books, but these were targeted buys. I am digging into my wish list and finally whittling it down. A lot of these titles have been on my list for years, some for so long I don't even remember how they got there. But I'm going to honor my wish list. If it's on there, I'm buying it. I'm also starting to build a wish list for comic books based on the issues I've discovered and bumped into this month. On top of that, I'm slowly working on some videos about the music I like. In an ideal world, I'd love to feature a song of the month, a comic of the month, an audiobook of the month, and a book of the month. Now, I haven't done an audiobook of the month for a while, mainly because I don't listen to them very often. They're generally something I put on when things are slow or when I'm doing a time-consuming task where my hands are busy, like driving, walking, cleaning, or exercising, and I need to split my attention. Currently, I'm finishing up the Musashi audiobook, which is very good, but also very long. Because of that, my monthly recommendations are going to be flexible. Some months I'll have them and some months I won't. It really just depends on how I feel and what I happen to stumble across that I love. All that being said, let's get started with the books I added to my collection in the month of June. Trainspotting by Irvine Welsh. I've been meaning to get this book forever. It's been sitting on my wish list and now I'm finally tackling that list, so bam, I just picked it up. Philosophy of Thieves. I was honestly drawn to this book initially by the cover. The blurb describes it as a caper story, comparing it to the TV show Leverage. But I absolutely love the TV show Leverage, so it'll be interesting to see this concept in a fantasy setting. So it looked pretty interesting and I thought I'd pick it up. Planet of the Apes by Pierre Boulle. Once again, this is another long-time wish list item. I've been dying to read the original book that inspired the entire movie franchise, so this was a must-get. City of Towers by Keith Baker. I'm really enjoying reading books based on established IPs like movies or games because it draws me deeper into a world that I already like. I've been looking for a great novel based on D&D. I previously tried the Dragonlance series, but I didn't really like it. To me, it felt a little bland, almost as if the authors were just working off a few crib notes about the game and weren't really fans of the game or really into the game. Because of that, I figured I'd try City of Towers, which is set in the Eberron D&D campaign setting, to see if it's a better fit for my taste. The McBain Brief, a short story collection by Ed McBain. I really enjoyed the first two 87th Precinct books, and I definitely plan to read more of them. The only downside is that a lot of the 87th Precinct books are locked to Amazon and aren't available DRM-free in most other digital storefronts. To read them, I either have to buy them from Amazon or read them on Kindle Unlimited or buy the physical books and scan them myself. And the physical books are actually pretty hard to get considering this series is from the 50s. The McBain Brief collection was a real treat because it's an Ed McBain book I can easily get and add to my personal collection, and I don't have to keep it in the Amazon ecosystem. Since it's a collection of short stories, I'm assuming there'll be crime and detective fiction because that's kind of what Ed McBain is known for, but it'll be interesting to see the variety it throws into them. Cocaine Blues by Kerry Greenwood. I absolutely love the Miss Fisher's Murder Mystery TV series that came out about a decade ago, and when I saw it, I always had a plan to read the books that inspired the TV show. So I put them on my queue. This is the initial book of the Fran Fisher series, so I had always meant to get this one to start, and so I'm glad I'm finally picking it up and adding it to my library. The last three books are Shadowrun titles, as I'm on a mission to collect every single Shadowrun book I can. So I bought two Shadowrun novels by Nigel Findley. The first is Shadowplay, and the next one is Lone Wolf. And then after I picked up those two, I picked up Into the Shadows, which is an anthology edited by Jordan K. Weisman. For this last one, I actually bought the physical book and then broke it down and scanned it to create my own digital copy and then ditched what was left of the paperback. I'm actually going to do a video showing exactly how I scanned it as part of an upcoming DRM tutorial. So those are all the books that I added to my collection in the month of June. And now for the books I read in the month of June. The first year I started this channel, I really wanted to find some great detective novels, but I didn't find much I truly liked outside of the Lady Sherlock series. However, late last year and into this year, I found some excellent mysteries that I really enjoyed. The Pericles Commission by Corby is one of them. In my opinion, it's actually a better work of historical fiction than it is a pure detective novel. The mystery's conclusion is a little thin, but the story and characters are great. As a big historical fiction fan, diving into the world of a detective in ancient Athens is just cool. Peeking behind the curtains of classical Greek society and seeing how they navigate things was just so interesting, and that was really what my main enjoyment in the book was. If you're looking for an Agatha Christie style mystery packed with complex plots and massive twists, this book struggles a bit with that. That isn't really the book's fault though. When you're dealing with ancient Greece, there just isn't a ton of forensic science to rely on, so you just have to accept the limitations of the era. Instead, the book thrives on its personal interactions. I really liked the main character and the supporting cast, and I just thoroughly enjoyed going back in time to read this detective story. When it comes to rating it, I'm giving it 4 stars, because I'm absolutely going to continue with the series. For me, a 5-star book is something that gives me all the emotional feels, kind of how I felt when I read the Lady Sherlock books. The Pericles Commission doesn't quite hit that mark, but it's still great. So I'm going to split the difference. I feel it's a 5-star historical fiction book, but probably a 3-star mystery. So I'm calling it a solid 4 stars overall, and I'm definitely moving forward with the rest of the series. Find Your Own Truth by Robert N. Charrette. This is the 3rd and final book in the Secrets of Power trilogy. The first book was a solid 4-star read for me. It was a solid introduction to Shadowrun that pulled you into that universe. The second book didn't feel terribly necessary, and while I didn't absolutely love it, it was a bridge you had to cross to get to this final entry. I liked this 3rd book, but it didn't quite feel as Shadowrun-esque to me. The plot focuses heavily on the shamanic magic elements, moving away from some of the classic cyberpunk street running tropes that I feel are intrinsic to the setting. Still, it's a decent conclusion to the trilogy, not mind-blowing, but not bad either. I'm giving it 3 stars. It's a good book, and if your goal is to finish the trilogy, it's definitely worth the read. Honestly, if my ultimate goal wasn't to read every single Shadowrun book out there, a trilogy like this might have left me wondering if I wanted to continue with the Shadowrun universe. But thankfully, the broader Shadowrun universe rarely relies on duologies or trilogies. It's mostly comprised of standalone novels written by different authors with vastly different styles. I love that setup because you can just drop in on a specific character, experience their story, and move on. While these first 3 books are a great starting point for getting a vibe for the world, they only scratch the surface and don't give you the full picture of the scope and the breadth of the Shadowrun lore. If this first trilogy interested you at all, you should absolutely keep reading the later standalone books. For this one, it's a solid 3 stars. 2XS by Nigel Findley is a perfect example of why I love these Shadowrun books. It's written in a completely different style than the Secrets of Power trilogy. Lately, I've been really wanting to find detective novels that resonate with me, but I've traditionally struggled with the hard-boiled detective noir. The older classics never really did anything for me, and a lot of the modern ones just kind of felt flat and one-dimensional. This book, however, is straight-up detective noir set in the Shadowrun universe, and it is very well done. It captures that gritty atmosphere perfectly, keeping you hooked without falling back onto flat characters. The overarching conspiracy and the plot are also pretty engaging. And also, it has a banger of an ending. As a standalone novel, it's fantastic. What I love most is how it explores a totally different side of the lore. While the Secrets of Power trilogy is really more of an origin story and maybe a coming of age for the main character, 2XS plunges you right into the hard-boiled, high-tech, low-life cyberpunk city theme that makes up the other half of the Shadowrun world. It perfectly highlights how every book in this franchise offers a fresh perspective with a different character and a distinct writing style. They made the hard-boiled detective genre mesh perfectly with the Shadowrun setting, and it's the best hard-boiled detective story I've ever read. Now, I haven't read a lot, but still, it's easily for me the best. I highly recommend this to anyone who loves hard-boiled detective fiction, sci-fi, or cyberpunk. It's an easy 5-star book for me. So to sum everything up, here are the books that I added to my collection this month. Trainspotting by Irvine Welsh, A Philosophy of Thieves by Fran Wilde, Planet of the Apes by Pierre Boulle, The City of Towers by Keith Baker, The McBain Brief by Ed McBain, Cocaine Blues by Kerry Greenwood, Shadowplay by Nigel Findley, Lone Wolf by Nigel Findley, Into the Shadows edited by Jordan K. Weisman. And for the books that I read in the month of June, I read the Pericles Commission by Gary Corby. I read Shadowrun Legends, Find Your Own Truth by Robert N. Charrette. And then I read 2XS by Nigel Findley. So those are all the books that I got and all the books that I read in the month of June. This is Ofori, the digital reader. Keep reading.